Ligue 1 is cooking this season. Not the superstars' name, we know those, but the next wave. The kids who are breaking through, changing games, and forcing their managers to take notice. They are ruling France and ready to take over Europe. Today, we're looking at 7 rising talents you absolutely need to know. Valentín Barco's chaos and creativity at Strasbourg, Malick Fofana lighting it up in Lyon, Fernandez-Pardo growing into a real weapon at Lille, Bouaddi showing maturity way beyond his age, Diego Moreira finally exploding, and Robinho Vaz making noise, Mamadou Coulibaly fighting back from injury with huge potentials. These aren't just prospects, they're the future of Ligue 1 and the superstar of European football of tomorrow. Let's break them down now. Hey guys, today let's talk about those kids who are dominating Ligue 1 this season. We're about 1/3 into this 25-26 season, and there's 7 players who are really making a big impact in France, outside of PSG, obviously, taking this one out of the PSG realm. So 7 players to talk about. I assume like most of them you might already know, but I think there's the next waves who are going to be ready to either make big waves for themselves or like move into a big club, dominate Ligue 1, and so they're going to be interesting for everyone to know and keep an eye on. First one to talk about, Valentín Barco of Strasbourg. When we've talked about when we played against them, and he made a big impression when we played. He's a 21-year-old central midfielder. He was originally more of a fullback, but he's been moved into a sort of playmaker midfielder role. A bit similar to a Fabian Ruiz in PSG, I would say. This kind of midfielder who can do a little bit of everything, who can compensate for his partners, who can create stuff, and who's got a beautiful left foot as well. He's played 12 games, 1 goal, 4 assists, market value of 15 million euros, so still on the cheap, but that's not going to last for long. And if you look at the scouting report, you see a player that's shining across a few dimensions. First, in terms of his statistical participation within the game, in terms of assists, which are really stand out for a midfielder, in terms of the number of passes that he attempts, and in terms of progressing the game through passes, through carries, taking opponent players on. He does it all for Strasbourg. He even contributes defensively. So he's really like this sort of midfielder who can do it all. And it really shows in terms of how he fits versus other players and versus midfielders in the top 5 league. And I think, versus last season where we had seen promise, but he wasn't entirely there, this season is really like dominating and bossing the midfield in Strasbourg, and the game in Strasbourg really goes through him, and it's quite impressive to see. Definitely think he's going to be one who's going to be moving to a big club really soon, probably next summer. With Strasbourg, Chelsea is always the number 1 option, but could go to other places, and I think for me is a player that I'd love to see in PSG as well. Second one that's probably not as well known, Mamadou Coulibaly of Monaco, also 21-year-old, also a central midfielder, but more of a box-to-box in terms of his profile. 9 games this year, 1 goal, 1 assist, and a market value of only 4 million. He started the season as the 5th option in Monaco in midfield, and he's been getting some playing time at the back of a great Champions League performance against Man City, where we really impressed from his contribution. And I think, the thing that strikes people with this one is really the physicality. Is the pure box-to-box midfielder who can do a lot of running, who can change gears and change directions very quickly, accelerate very quickly. He's fast, and he makes an impact, gets the ball back, and straight away runs it back towards the front, create opportunities. And you can definitely see it in terms of his progressive carries and the successful take-ons, where he really shines. And he's a player who personally, like I really like because he's also like he tore his ACL last season, so he had a really major bit of injury for a player his age. He's fighting back from it. He's got Paul Pogba, who's in Monaco right now, and giving him all the good advice and the good ways of working in training. And yeah, he's been playing great this season. He's made a spot for himself in the team, and it's going to be really hard to move out of the team at this point. Maybe not one, like if I compare to Barco, he's maybe not as like big club ready. Maybe he's got one season or two in Monaco ahead of him. But yeah, he's really fighting back from injury and showing like all of the talents that he has, all of the impact that he can have. And so a fantastic, more physical side of midfielder. Next one, let's move to Lille. Matias Fernandez-Pardo, 20-year-old left winger, 12 games, 2 goals, 3 assists, and market value of 20 million. He's a player who we talked about. He's really been the difference maker in Lille when it comes to their offense. And we've seen it when they played against us. I think in terms of speed and the ability to make runs at the defense out of left wing, he's been very impressive this season. And there too, you can see it. I mean, like all of the players, it's funny, but like the progressive carries there too, and like this time it's for wingers, so it's even more impressive. He's really within the top realm of winger in that area for the top 5 leagues. Touches, progressive passes received as well. And he combines that with a statistical contribution. I think, what did I say? Like 3 goals, 2 goals, 3 assists in 12 games. That's really nothing to sneeze at for a winger in a team like Lille. And so you can see that in his stats. The only limitations that I have with this one is that he's not the most hardworking of players, I would say. And I think, in terms of how he contributes and how like he turns into being the first line of defense, that's something that is going to have to develop, because at the moment, I would say it's probably less than satisfactory. But the level of speed that he has and the level of technical quality in dribbling that he has really compensate for it, and it's going to make him a very attractive target for a lot of top clubs very quickly. Next one. This one pains me a little bit to talk about, but yeah, we've got to look at Marseille once in a while. It is a team in Ligue 1 who is doing like sometimes good stuff. And one of the things they've had going on for them this season is that they've had this kid from the Marseille Academy, Robinho Vaz, who's actually originally from the Paris area, but he went to the Marseille Academy. He's an 18-year-old striker, and he's played in 11 games, and he scored 4 goals and 2 assists. Now, that doesn't tell the full stories, because obviously 11 games sounds like a big number, but he's been coming on more as a sub to finish the games, and the reality is that he's played 295 minutes. So that's, basically less than 4 full games. And so scoring 4 goals and 2 assists in that time, really amazing, especially when you consider that he was supposed to have only like a little bit, 2.9, so a bit less than 3 goal contribution, and he got 6 in the end. So he's really overperforming. He's got more than 85% of his shots are on target. So he's been really in a crazy dynamic of overachieving versus what you would expect of him. He's still very young. I think he's very hot right now, but probably at some point he might have to come down and go back to reality a little bit. But yeah, he's been honestly like quite impressive. He still has a lot of work ahead of him in terms of how he's going to develop. And I think, if you look at his graph of his technicals, you can see that, in terms of goals scored, in terms of shots on target, in terms of his speed and so on, there's really stuff that is very strong. But there's also areas where he's really not quite there. And so yeah, he still has a lot of work ahead of him. We'll have to see, but yeah, like there's something there. There's talent. So yeah, Robinho Vaz, more one for the future, not for quite yet, but an interesting one, and we'll have to see how Marseille continues developing him and whether like he keeps getting enough game time to develop. Next one, and again, name we've talked about a few times, talent that's been well identified for a while, Ayyoub Bouaddi of Lille, 18-year-old central midfielder, 12 games, 1 assist, and a market value of 30 million. He's one of the players on my list who's probably like among the most well-knowns, and for good reason, because like, you know, his contribution in midfield has been like basically second to none, both in terms of Lille, but even in general for Ligue 1. And I think if you look at him in terms of the physicality that he brings to the game, it's incredible. And you can see that on the graphs that I've got on screen, you know, like starting at the top and going clockwise. We're talking about the amount of running he does in a game at low intensity, at high intensity, the sprints, how long he sprints, how many he does, the maximum speed. So he does it all, and I think like, you know, he's been the regulator of the Lille midfield. For me, I've talked to him in the past in terms of him being a player that I would love to add to our midfield, because I think he's got both the physical element of it, but also the technicality to bring something very different. And I think, you know, he could sub in for Vitinha, just like he could sub in for João Neves, just like he could sub in for Fabian Ruiz. He could really cover in different positions. And for an 18-year-old, he's got an amazing amount of skill already and talent to develop. I think in terms of his scouting report, maybe it doesn't like show as much. Maybe it doesn't look as impressive as some other players. But if you look at the combination of defensive contribution while also being able to contribute to the build-up of the game and move the game forward, in a game like Lille as well, where there's obviously less output than in a team like PSG, it's really, really impressive. And he's definitely a talent who, at 18-year-old, yeah, he's gonna be in a big team very, very soon as well. And I kind of hope he's gonna be in Paris. Next one, also a relatively well-known name now, Malick Fofana of Lyon, 20-year-old left winger, played in 9 games, 2 goals, 1 assist, and 30 million of market value. He's one who he's had a very strong start of the season. He's kind of carried the Lyon attack on his back for a while. He's been injured for a few games now, and so he's been missing in a few games. Which we can be quite happy about, because like obviously if he had played in the game against PSG, we would have really seen him. And he's been one of those like young Belgian talents who's been talked about to move to bigger teams as well. He's a very creative type of left winger. Provokes a lot of dribbling, a lot of progressive carries as always, touches. Success, like the take-ons have been less than successful, but because he tries so many of them, so you know, he's like the kind of winger who's never gonna stop taking runs at the defense. Kind of a younger Barcola of sorts, if you will. High speed, high power, high intensity. And yeah, very, very, very talented technically. He's got a little bit of statistical contribution as well. I think he'd do even better in a team with stronger partners in attack, because Lyon is a team with basically doesn't have a number 9. So for a winger, it really, you know, diminishes the amount of solutions that he's going to have in front of him. But yeah, very, very talented, and the players that, yeah, like he's been talked about for a few big teams already. A lot of teams with financial constraints are looking at him because they know that Lyon doesn't have the most stable finance. So they think they can get a deal on him. I think Barcelona has looked at him. I think Man City has looked at him. So there's quite a few teams who are keeping him on their radar screen. Next one, Diego Moreira of Strasbourg, who's going to be like actually our last one for this list. 21-year-old left fullback. I mean, I had a hard time actually deciding on the position because he can actually cover all of the left flank from like offensive midfield, and fullback. He's playing in more of like an offensive fullback kind of position in Strasbourg. Pretty similar actually to what Nuno Mendes does in Paris. He's played 11 games, 1 goal, 3 assists, and a market value of 18 million. And he's one of the players who's really exploded onto the stage this season. He was actually on loan to Lyon last season and then got recalled back to Chelsea. Chelsea sold him to Strasbourg. So officially he is a Strasbourg player, but they have a buyback clause, which is pretty reasonable. So even if they have a lot of density on the left, he's a player who could very well be moving back towards London. I hope not, because he's really exploded, and I think like, you know, just the statistical contribution of 1 goal and 3 assists from a fullback position is really, really impressive. But beyond that, like kind of his influence on the game and his physicality are, I don't even know what to say when you see a graph like this. Like, he's essentially like great everywhere when it comes to physicality. Maybe he could be a little bit faster in terms of top speed, but that's like really nitpicking at this point. So yeah, like great player who contributes a lot offensively. Defensively, it's not like as strong, I guess. But you know, he's a player who still like, yeah, when you see that, like, contributes a lot. Statistical contribution is high because he's being compared with fullbacks. But in terms of progress, like successful take-ons, impressive. Like, so he takes the ball, runs it forward, dribbles past player. He's got the technicality. He has assist and goal. Like I said, like the defensive could be a little bit stronger in terms of tackles and interventions and so on. But yeah, like great player, great talent. Considering it's his first year really playing consistently at the top level, yes, the sky is the limit, man. Like he's gonna be a superstar, and it's really a matter of time before he gets stepped on. Especially like fullbacks position are always very competitive, and there's not a lot of talent on the scene. So for big clubs, talent like this, they see it come up, they snatch him up pretty quickly. So I would absolutely not be surprised to see him move in the next 6 months to a top tier team. And I think, you know, we're gonna see him on the European scene for a long time. So anyway, this is what I had for you guys. 7 rising stars of Ligue 1 who have really made a mark in the first 1/3 of the season, and who are really poised to, you know, continue dominating Ligue 1 for this season and probably be moving on to bigger, better things at the end of it or earlier. Let me know what you think in the comment. Which one of those players do you think is most promising? Which one would you like to see in PSG? And as always, like, please drop a like on this video if you made it this far. Please subscribe to the channel, hit the bell to get notified. And as always, ici c'est Paris!